Dadhood. Modern Dadhood podcast.
Check 1, check 2. Hey. Okay. Enough shenanigans.
Never enough shenanigans for modern dadhood, Mark.
Okay, fair. That's a fair point. Never enough in the shenanigan department. This podcast is Modern Dadhood, an ongoing conversation about the joys, challenges, and general insanity of being a dad in this moment. My name's Mark, and I'm a dad to twin boy. I almost said toddlers. See, I told you before we got going, I'm not in the right headspace. I'm feeling a little off today, if I'm being honest.
Your brain almost took you back several years.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I think I was up too late, which I partly blame you, but I think that's all it is. They're almost 8, my kids. Definitely not toddlers.
We did stay out a little bit late, didn't we?
We did. It was fun. It was a fun time.
I actually had a really nice time. So for listeners' benefit, Mark and I, we're going to meet up in person and record this, what you're hearing right now, live together, because we found that it's more fun to do that. Yeah. And we had a great spot, and then had a few bevies and had some food, and time just got away from us. And so now here we are recording in the middle of a work day.
Yeah.
If we sound a bit different, it's because Mark's in a little bit different of a setup than usual.
True.
And you know what? It was worth it to me. I had a really fun night. So thanks for that.
Hey, me too, man.
And my name's Adam Flaherty. I'm a dad to 2 daughters who are 11 and 8 and both winter babies. So they're close to 12 and 9, which I can't even say it without just blowing my mind.
Yeah. Where does the time go? So many memories. It goes by slow, but it also goes by fast.
The holidays are upon us. Mark, how are you guys prepared for this?
No, not prepared. The house looks very nice, though. We did decorate both inside and outside the house. So we got lights up, we got the tree. There's a lot of Christmas spirit going around, but we're not ready. We're not prepared. You're not either, though, right?
Sure. No, not prepared. But you know, I actually don't mind. I think last year it was the same. Like there's like Thanksgiving was late, and then feels like it's just a sprint to Christmas. I kind of don't mind it.
No,
you know, I kind of would rather it be a little frantic than just really prolonged, because then I feel like we just push things off. And but yeah, I mean, the spirit is high this year. And even when we were together last night having some food, we went to the Goat in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, which is totally decked out for Christmas. And spirit was on high there, too.
So many lights. I believe they wrapped every wall in wrapping paper as well.
It was the real deal.
Yeah, they really did it.
Today's episode, for listeners, we got a great one. Our guest is children's author and illustrator Matt Tavares, who is a fellow Mainer like me, lives just up the road from me, hoping to share a high five at some point. But he is currently touring his most recent book release, which is holiday themed, and it's the newest installment in his Dasher series, which is just beautifully written, beautifully illustrated, and can't recommend enough that you pick up a copy and enjoy it with your children this holiday season. We're going to get into Dasher and a whole lot more with Matt Tavares in just a few minutes. I don't want to forget to say, if this is your first time tuning into Modern Dadhood, Mark, the award-winning podcast Modern Dadhood, welcome. We hope you enjoy what you hear. Maybe you'll laugh along with us. And Mark and I just like to make it clear that we're not experts in parenting. We are just figuring it out as we go and talking about the awesome stuff and the hard stuff and the crazy stuff, and then bringing in guests who can enlighten us about their fatherhood experience. And perhaps we all learn something in that process.
Facts.
Who's been your favorite guest of 2025 so far?
Oh, a favorite guest of 2025. Well, I mean, we met, I would say hung out with and interviewed Nick Hexum from 311, for crying out loud, in person in his RV, which was just super cool of him to I guess, allow that, and I don't know. That was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. He is a very smart guy. He's very, introspective, thoughtful. We talked a lot about like his parents both being, they were psychologists, both of his parents. So lots of talking and understanding emotions and stuff going on in his upbringing. And I don't know, so much of his music has bits and pieces of that embedded throughout it. I just loved that conversation and the whole experience. I
think we should do our damnedest to lock in more in-person interviews in 2026.
It's time.
It's just a different vibe, and I really love it.
Yeah. Well, what about you? What's your fave? Got one?
Well, I wasn't prepared for you to turn that question back on me.
Well, I just did.
Well, I loved Nick Hexum too, and could go on and on about that one, but it would be a mistake to not say that my other favorite episode of 2025 was when I got to interview my dad, because for those who maybe haven't heard it, you should check it out. It's something that I'd wanted to do for a long time and thought about a lot during the history of this podcast, but there was something really intimidating about it and a little uncomfortable about the idea. I love my dad a lot, and I just didn't know what that was going to feel like to interview him, especially with my mother having passed away 4 years ago. And to get into some of that, maybe that was my hesitation, was it was going to hit a little too close to home, and I wasn't prepared to become emotional. Anyway, it was a great chat, and it's in our archive of episodes at moderndadhood.com. You can find all of them. You can search by topic, by guest. We've had some really awesome conversations. So I would encourage listeners to check us out there and on all of the socials.
I'm not going to give anything away from that episode in particular, but especially towards the end of your conversation, it got me in the feels a little bit, and I even started to tear up a little there at a couple points. So highly recommend that episode.
You teared up in my chat with.
I really did.
I really did.
Well, I think some of it has to do with the fact that my dad's not around anymore. Yeah. I lost my dad now almost 10 years ago. So I think it's like, I don't know, it was like equal parts, like so wonderful that you were able to do that and did do it. And now it's captured and now it's there. And the things that, your dad talked about as it pertains to family and things in his life that he's happy with and proud of. And it was a whole mixture of things.
Well, thanks. I'm really grateful to have had the opportunity to do it, and would recommend to anybody, especially as your family members get older, just sit down and record interviews with them. It doesn't have to be like this a huge production, and it doesn't have to come with the undertones of like, I want to do this because you're going to die someday. It's just, let's collect family stories while we're all here together. And you will never, ever regret having done that.
Yeah.
But, Mark.
Yeah. What? Who?
You and I had this awesome chat with Matt Tavares, and I think that we should get into it now because our listeners are going to love him, his philosophy, his backstory, and hearing him talk about especially his holiday-themed books and series. So let's do it.
Let's get right into it.
Matt Tavares is an award-winning and best-selling author-illustrator who has written and illustrated nearly a dozen children's books and illustrated many more for other authors. He's also a husband and a dad of 2 daughters. We've caught him right in the middle of his book tour for his new book, Dasher and the Polar Bear. Matt, thanks for making time and joining us on Modern Dadhood.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's great to meet you, Matt.
The internet is very scarce on information about your family, which I'm assuming is probably like an intentional choice.
Probably good.
Yeah. But you've got 2 daughters. How old are they?
Yeah, my daughters are 21 and 18.
Wow.
So I'm a little further along than you guys.
Yeah, how's that going?
It's good. They're both in college. Ava's a senior. Molly's a sophomore. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, there's definitely a lot of emotions leading up to the empty nest thing and
Oh man.
senior year. There's the last of this, last of that. And I was kind of a mess through some of that stuff. But now that they're in college, it's good. Like they're both in good places and they're still home a lot. Like summer vacation is like 4 months in college. So
Yeah.
Oh man.
they're home more than you think. But it's all good.
Are they close by, or did they kind of take the opportunity to go far?
Yeah, they're both within a 2-hour drive.
That's nice.
So it's nice. Like we can go down and meet one of them for dinner and make it back as a day trip or, a pretty quick round trip. We had a day recently where we visited both of them. My mother-in-law came down and we all went to sort of had a meal with each of them at their college and did a little campus tour. So yeah, it's good. They're not too far away.
That's nice. We were curious, maybe start at the beginning. How did you get into writing specifically kids' books? Like what was the impetus for you as far as that direction goes creatively? And maybe sub question or make sure I've got this right. It seems like maybe you started before you had children of your own. Is that right?
Yes. So my first book was my senior thesis project at Bates College, also in Maine. So yeah, I got the idea. I think when I was a junior in college, I was trying to figure out some way I could actually draw every day as a grown-up and have that be my job, because that's really what I love to do. And I was an art major. So I got the idea for my senior thesis to try to illustrate a children's book. And at the time, I didn't really think of myself as a writer. I thought of myself more, I really wanted to be an illustrator. So at first I tried to find like an old fairy tale or poem or something to illustrate. Yeah. And I was just kind of not finding anything that really grabbed me and decided to try to write my own story. And it was something where I feel like I probably benefited by ignorance, like just not really knowing how much work goes into making a picture book. I sort of just jumped right in and did it. And I spent my whole senior year working on that book. It was one of my classes. And then from there, a few lucky things happened where I met a children's book agent. It was my girlfriend at the time, figured out her cousin's best friend's mom was a children's book agent. So I got to show my work to her. And it was, I was 21 years old and just met her in her kitchen in shorts and a t-shirt and showed her this book I had made. And she actually became my agent, Rosemary. She's still my agent.
Wow.
But yeah, there was sort of this time right after I graduated from college where I was sort of prepared for it to take years to actually get a book published. And then just things started happening where I met Rosemary. She started pitching it to publishers. A few of them said no, but then Candlewick Press was actually interested. And I went and had a meeting there and they basically told me they saw my senior project as like a really good rough draft, but they wanted to work with me to turn it into a book. So that's how I got my first book deal and kind of went from there. I had a pretty stressful time after that first book where I felt like this was a fluky thing that I had somehow done and I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it again. So I didn't know if I'd ever have another book.
You just go back to college, go through 4 years again, do another thing.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of had
thesis.
I sort of had this safe place to make my first book where it was just a class. Like I wasn't depending on feeding my family or earning income or anything. But then suddenly it was like, all right, I've got to try to think of another one. But yeah, I just kind of fell into a perfect place with Candlewick Press, where at the time I lived in Arlington, Mass. And they were right 2 miles from my house where I lived. So I got to kind of learn on the job as I worked on that first book. And they found another book they wanted me to illustrate. And I kind of went from there. So yeah, my first book came out in 2000 and I've done pretty much one book a year since then. So Dasher and the Polar Bear is my 26th book that I've illustrated.
Wow.
In 26 years. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, time flies.
So in your relationship with Candlewick now, do you still get notes like, this is a great draft, here's how we want to refine it? Or over the years, has your relationship evolved such that they trust that, you know what you're doing as a professional?
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely changed, but I still get notes. It's different for every book. I mean, it's still good to have an editor and an art director and someone kind of keeping you in check and making sure, I'm making the best book that I can make. But it's definitely, the more books I make, I definitely have a better sense of what I want to do. And I've kind of taken over more of the design of the book. But there's always, it's good to have someone pushing back and throwing around different ideas. It's always a bit of a collaboration.
At what point did you sort of realize, I guess, maybe that you're a children's book author, illustrator? Like, was that something that was in your mind in college when you were working on the first version of Zachary's Ball, or did it come later?
Yeah, it was really when I was in college. I was just trying to picture what I was going to do after college. And somehow just the thought of making paintings to sell in galleries, it just never really appealed to me very much. And at the time, like, my youngest sister is 12 years younger than me. So through my teenage years, I would often do bedtime. Like, I would read her stories at bedtime. And I think that had an impact on me, just knowing like, geez, if you make a book and it really catches on, it sort of becomes immortal. Like, it sticks around long after the author even is around. And if a kid loves the book, they'll read it 100 times. And that really appealed to me, just trying to make something that could sort of really last, where even other kinds of illustration, magazine illustration, editorial, those kind of people might look at them for 30 seconds and then not see them again. Where I liked some sort of the permanence of picture books really appealed to me when I was in college.
I wonder if that is part of what pointed you to creating holiday themed books, because people have such strong connections and nostalgia for the holidays. And at least in my experience, the things that you're exposed to when you're young are the things that you revisit year over year, whether it's movies or a particular version of an illustrated book. Was that part of your thought process, or?
Yeah. I guess with all my books, it's usually just been one idea at a time. Like, I never set out to make a whole bunch of baseball books or a whole bunch of Christmas books. It just sort of happened. My first Christmas book, I was asked to illustrate 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. That was my second book I ever illustrated. So that was sort of my first experience making a Christmas book and seeing the way that a book can become part of families' holiday traditions, which is a pretty cool thing, just to hear from people, oh, we read your book every Christmas Eve, and then they put them away with the decorations and take them out the next year. Sort of makes the book last longer. That was definitely something that appealed to me and sort of led me to make more Christmas books.
How did Clement Moore get in touch with you? How did he become familiar with your work?
It's funny. I'd mentioned to you, I listened to the episode you guys did with Chris Van Dusen when you started talking about all the versions of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And that was one where it was my editor at Candlewick. She had the idea to do sort of a black and white edition of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas that looked like it was from the time when the poem was first published, which was 1823. So yeah, we used the original spelling and punctuation of everything. Some of the reindeer names are different, like Dunder and Blixen were in the original poem. We actually attributed the book to Anonymous because when the poem was first published, it was anonymous. And it wasn't until several years later that Clement Moore took credit. And there was still some controversy over whether he actually wrote it. So yeah, that was my first jump into doing Christmas books.
Is there a unique kind of, you talked about enjoying, working on holiday themed books, but is there a unique kind of pressure? Like, if you're going to be working on a Christmas story, a Christmas book that's kind of intended to capture or dovetail into like the magic of the holidays, and kids are going to get this twinkle in their eye if they're reading a story about Santa or reindeers. Like, is there a unique pressure going into something like that versus maybe writing a book about baseball or something like that?
I don't think I feel any different pressure necessarily. If anything, it sort of gives me I think it makes it easier for me if I know there's sort of, this is like for Christmas, there's already this established story of Christmas that all children know. We've got the 8 reindeer and there's Rudolph and there's Santa. So I'm sort of like with the Dasher books, I'm trying to create something that almost fits into what's already there and just expands on it. So it kind of gives me a starting point as opposed to just creating a whole world from scratch. And there is a certain magical, Christmassy feel that I'm trying to tap into.
Yeah. And I think that the Dasher series and Red and Lulu all do that so well. The illustrations are beautiful. The colors are so vibrant. The contrast of like really bright colors to dark and more muted is done so beautifully. And any listeners who might not be familiar with these, highly recommend that you check them out. There will be links in our episode notes. Mark and I were curious, though. We both sort of arrived at this question independently. The backstory of Dasher, the kind of traveling circus element to it, and then the story of Silverbell, the original horse that was pulling Santa's sleigh. Are these story elements that you came up with, or is there kind of a backstory that you were tapping into and building upon?
Yeah, it was really like my idea was just, going back to 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I was thinking, all right, that's the first time these 8 reindeer were ever mentioned in print.
Okay.
So if I'm trying to think of how these reindeer came to be Santa's team of reindeer, it's got to be before 1823. And I just tried to think of how that might have happened. And there are early images of Santa where he's riding a horse. So I thought, well, maybe, Santa started out with a horse. Maybe the gifts started expanding, so then they moved to a sleigh. The horse is pulling a sleigh instead of him riding a horse with a bag of gifts. And then at some point, the horse is getting old, the sleigh is getting heavy. There's got to be some way that they transfer to having this full team of reindeer. And then when I started brainstorming, especially that time in history, I found these images of just these traveling circuses where they would have a menagerie of exotic animals. And the images are just these animals crammed into these, just so unnatural habitats with tons of people like just gawking at them. And I just had this image of this family of reindeer in some hot, dusty place, and then being told stories of the North Pole where the, mama and papa come from, and just Dasher looking up at the North Star. And I kind of built the story around that. But yeah, I wanted it to feel like it's part of the story of Christmas that's always been there. And that's something people have asked me a lot. Like, oh, well, where did you find out about Silverbell? I'd never heard. And I was just like, I made up Silverbell.
It feels very natural.
Yeah.
It works so well.
That's my hope for that story, from the beginning, was just for it to become part of the story that all kids know. That was sort of the ultimate pipe dream for Dasher, was just, I want this to fit in with what's already there. And just when people think of how did Santa's reindeer become Santa's reindeer, I would love for this to be the story.
And then you've continued the story on with Dasher Can't Wait for Christmas. I have to admit, I am not familiar with that one, but I'm looking forward to reading it. And then the new book in the series, Dasher and the Polar Bear. Can you, without giving away too much of the story, can you give us just like a very high level summary of what to expect with that book? Yeah.
The sequels are really, kids, when the first book came out, it had just, the response was so great. And people kept asking me if there were going to be more Dasher books. And I'd never done a series and wasn't thinking of it as a series. It was really just like an origin story about Santa's reindeer. But then I just started brainstorming and trying to think, well, what could happen next? And at first I was a little stuck because, the first book pretty much ends with Dasher has everything she ever wished for. So there's not a lot of room for what else could happen. But then I just started thinking, all right, now she's at the North Pole. Everything's great. She's with her family. But the one thing that's really great is Christmas. So I sort of tapped into that, the feeling that kids have as you count down the days to Christmas and sort of build up that excitement. And that's really what the second book is about. And then the third book, each of these books is more like an episode, really, where this one, she's out on an adventure, encounters a polar bear. Polar bear sees that she can fly and is pretty blown away by this and wishes he could fly. So Dasher sets out to try to figure out how she can help her new friend, George the polar bear, fly.
I'm curious. So we've talked about the fact that you're an illustrator. You're a writer. You have a book called Hoops, which is a graphic novel. And I'm just curious, what it inspired you to go in that direction or explore like that genre?
I mean, it was really, talk about parenting. It was, as my kids got older and I started, especially my daughter Molly, both of them really got into reading graphic novels. And that's something that I wasn't into comics as a kid, really. Oh. And the type of graphic novels that exist now didn't really exist back then. But I started reading a lot of these books. And for years, I was kind of going back and forth thinking like, oh, it'd be really cool to try to do one of these. But then feeling like, I don't know where I would even start. There's too many pictures, too many pages. I would need to figure out like a cartoony style. So it didn't take me 10 years. And so I came across this story, true story about a girls' high school basketball team in the 1970s. I ended up pitching it to my publisher as a nonfiction picture book and signing a contract for that. But once I kind of dug into the research and got deeper into it, I just started feeling like this could be that kind of book, like that I was watching my daughter's reading. And it's just seeing the way that they read these books and just the way that other kids get excited about graphic novels. Like it's sort of a different level from picture books where kids at that age, that middle grade, they're more like a fan almost of these books where, when the new Raina Telgemeier book comes out, like the kids are clamoring to get their hands on it and reading the whole thing cover to cover, then going back to the beginning and reading it again. And I felt like this could be that kind of story if I could figure out how to do it. So I ended up kind of throwing that idea to my editor, and Candlewick actually trusted me to do this thing I had never done before. And I just kind of figured it out as I went. And it took me over 2 years. And it was this whole sort of exciting but nerve-wracking thing where I'd come into my studio every morning and I was so excited to be working on it, but then also feeling like, what am I even doing? Like, I hope this is good and I hope people like it because it's going to take me forever. But it was exciting to try something so new.
Did you have any kind of mentor or did you interview other authors and illustrators about working in that style?
Yep. I have a lot of friends who are authors and illustrators. So I spoke with lots of friends who had done this before. My friend Scott Magoon, who's an author illustrator, he lives in Massachusetts. He was also starting his first graphic novel around the same time. And he, for years, was an art director at Houghton Mifflin. So he knew how to use all these programs I had never used before. Like InDesign is sort of where I laid out the pages. I had never done that before. So he gave me some tutorials. And he also helped me out. There's a program called Scrivener that I used to kind of map out the story. So yeah, I picked brains of friends who had done it before, just, learning about like writing a script. I read books like Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. And so it was kind of exciting for me. Like, I'd been making picture books for a long enough time that I felt like I was kind of itching to try something totally different. And that really was what the graphic novel was.
So it sounds like, your kids sort of almost inadvertently inspired some new creative direction for you. I wonder, were there any times where they are almost like over your shoulder and sort of commenting as you're working? And if they are doing something like that, have they ever very directly sort of influenced a decision that ended up either you went with or went away from because of the way that they reacted or anything like that?
Yeah, there definitely have been times like that over the years, like whether just directly, them coming in my studio when I'm painting something, and they've always been good at being pretty blunt and pointing things out that they think look weird or laughing at something or, like they're not automatically impressed, like some people, they're just like, oh, wow, that looks real or whatever. My kids have always been good at just kind of pointing things out that they think don't look right. There was definitely one I remember pointing out, like the clouds didn't look right in illustration. And I definitely remember a time where, sometimes publishers will send me stories for me to consider illustrating. And there was one that I think Ava told me, like, if you do this, your career will be over. Like no kids are going to read that book. And I'm like, honey, I don't know if that's true, but okay, good to know how you feel.
So the question is, did you pass on that one?
I did not do that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
That was already not, I don't think I was going to do it anyway, but she was more extreme about it.
So then have you seen that book come out? And the question is it, was it successful?
I don't think I ever saw that book come out. There have been lots of books I've said no to, either for scheduling or just, it has to really grab me if I'm going to spend a whole year working on a book. And yeah, sometimes you see the book come out and usually I'm like, oh, good. Like they got it going. They found a good illustrator.
Are most of those requests coming, or invitations maybe coming through the publisher, or do you get a lot of authors reaching out to you directly saying, I really admire your work and would be honored to have you illustrate this?
I mean, the way it's really supposed to happen is it goes through my agent, through the publisher. You do hear from a lot of people who want to write a book and want to collaborate, and it doesn't usually work that way. Like if someone's thinking of writing a book and wants an illustrator, just reaching out directly to an illustrator is probably not a way that it's going to happen, because illustrators get jobs from publishers.
Sure.
But yeah, I think when you're a children's book illustrator, it is something that it's such an unknown to a lot of people how the whole thing works. So I do hear from a lot of people, whether wanting me to illustrate or just wanting to learn about how to get published. So I sort of have some standard links I like to send people to help point them in the right direction and hopefully be helpful. It's sort of a joke in like the children's book world that like if you go to a neighborhood gathering or a whatever part, someone's gonna, when they hear you're a children's book author, they want to tell you their story, and it's like, oh boy, here we go. And sometimes I feel like I don't want to be a jerk and have to like crush their dreams by telling them like I can't illustrate your book. Like it doesn't work that way. But I'm not gonna be annoyed every time anyone sends me an email. I can't always get back right away, but I try to be helpful.
I feel like children's books, I feel like that's a space where, and I don't know if you've experienced this at all, where I feel like people think they could do it.
Right.
Because it's like when you read a kid's book, it's short.
Yeah, it seems easy. If it's done right.
Like it's one of those things.
And a lot of people, it's something you hear a lot, that it's sort of like a cliche in the children's book world too, where it's like, oh, I always wanted to write children's books. I just don't have time or something like that. And it's just like, okay, like, could you just do it if you had time? Or like,
right.
Because it's something people work really hard for years to get good at. And, even being a good picture book writer, where it seems like, oh, like you see like Mo Willems' Elephant and Piggy books, like they seem like super simple and easy, but like it takes a lot of thinking and planning to be able to do that.
I think it was John Clausen. We interviewed John Clausen as well on the show. And I think it was him, if I'm remembering correctly, Adam. He pointed out how much harder he feels like it is to write a short story for kids with very few words than it is to write something longer, where you have like the length to sort of like get a point across, or weave a story. Yeah,
it's tricky. I mean, like for his books, there's so few words and there's such kind of deadpan humor that like you really depend on like the timing and the just getting the right words. There's I think it goes both ways too, where sometimes a picture book can come to you very quickly and you've just kind of got it. Like where that's not going to happen with like a 300-page novel. You've got to put in the hours actually writing that thing, where sometimes a picture book, you just sort of, I could write a draft of a picture book in a day and have it actually be like, oh, that actually isn't bad. But usually that's after thinking about it for a really long time.
Any aspirations to develop any of your books or any future work like into something like television or film?
Funny you should ask. Dasher is actually in production to be a TV Christmas special coming out in 2026.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
I have a meeting for that right after I talk to you guys. So
that's great. That's great.
It has been so much fun. Talk about trying something new, like just being involved. I'm like part of this creative team making this movie. It's been such a cool process.
Will it be live action or anything you can't answer? Certainly just say.
Yeah, no, it's been publicly announced, so I can tell you. It's,
I didn't realize.
3D animation. Brown Bag Films is the animation studio. It's going to be on Disney Plus and Disney Junior. So for me, it's like this dream project where like, we've got the Disney team overseeing it. The team from Brown Bag, the writer-director, Damien O'Connor. I get to just be part of this team building this story, and I've gotten to be there for all the actors recording their parts and sort of I'm technically, I think, consulting producer. So I get to.
I was just going to say, like, what exactly is your role in all of it?
It's been great. Like I've been involved with developing the story, given feedback on the script, and kind of I've gotten to know Damien very well. He's the writer director, so he's kind of in charge. He's the one, he has an office at the studio every day working on it, and I'm kind of chiming in whenever I think of something, and we have a lot of back and forth. But it's been really interesting kind of being on the other side, giving editorial feedback. And but it's been great. It's much more collaborative than books. There's just so many people involved, the storyboard artists, the concept artists, the animators. But it's been really cool. And just watching, like just yesterday, I watched Dasher running for the first time. We've been developing this character for so long. And it's the first animation of her actually like running and walking. And it's just been the coolest thing watching it come to life.
And that must be tricky because
that'd be a heck of a feeling.
Reindeer have those kind of janky, legs that seem to have like multiple joints that all go in different directions.
Yeah. There was some. It's all stuff other people are doing. I just get to look at it and say what I think of it. But yeah, there was one point I think when Dasher runs, her front hooves were kicking into her back hooves. They had to like figure out the right way to get her to move. But it's been pretty cool.
Just make sure that when there's any scenes with clouds, just run that through your daughters.
Yes. Right.
Sure
yeah. The clouds look bad.
Yeah. Your daughters should be consulting producers on this, maybe with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of daughters, again, now you said they're both in college at this point. I'm wondering, what have they, if anything, what did they sort of take away from seeing you make art for a living and write stories for a living? And I guess maybe part of the question is either of them going in that direction for a career?
They are both creative in different ways. They're not, I don't think, they're not going to go towards illustration. My younger daughter, Molly, has done a lot of writing. She writes poetry. She's a psychology major in college and is sort of at the point where she's taking different classes and getting really excited about different things. So I'm not sure what she'll end up doing. And Ava is a sales and marketing major, and she's really good at, she's gotten really into doing like social media marketing where she creates these videos. So it takes a lot of creativity just in a different way. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what they end up doing. But I think seeing me work probably showed them, I think they both want to find something they're passionate about. I feel like I'm so lucky I get to just like sit here in my studio and draw pictures all day and write stories. And now, now I get to work on a movie. Like it's almost like I worry that it's like too unrealistic, like that you, especially right out of college, you don't necessarily get to jump into a job like this where you're just home and doing your own thing. But I think it's had a good impact on them, just seeing what I get to do and kind of pursuing my dream.
Any family holiday traditions that you're looking forward to when they come home for Christmas?
Yeah, we're actually we're going to London over Christmas this year, so it's something a little different. But it's part work. My publisher Candlewick, their sister company's Walker Books in London, and the Disney team overseeing the Dasher movie is based in London. So I'm gonna get to see some of those people, and I have a book signing over there for the Dasher and the Polar Bear book. So then we'll get to have a little Christmas time at London. We kind of figured it's my daughter's last year of college, and that's really the only time during the school year that all of the vacations line up, because my wife works at a public school. So we decided to kind of do a big Christmas trip this year. So we're excited for that.
That should be magical.
Yeah.
Well, parents listening, please check out Matt's work. There will be links again in the episode notes. If you're in the greater Boston area or New Hampshire, Southern Maine, you have a chance to go to a book signing. Matt is all over New England for the next month or so. And Matt, typically we like to recommend that people get to their local bookstores when they can, but is there a specific spot where you would like us to send people to if they were to order your books online?
Anywhere they buy books. If people want signed books, they can go to my website, and pretty much any of the stores I'm going to be at for events, they can probably contact those stores and get signed books, even personalized books if I haven't been there yet.
The website is matttavares.com. That's Tavares. And again, know you're very busy this time of year. So thanks so much for making time to chat with us. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you. It was great talking with you guys. Thanks a lot for having me.
And best of luck in your next upcoming meeting here.
Thank you.
All right, Mark.
Who? What? Huh? What?
All right.
I took a quick nap there.
Mark.
Yes, Adam?
It is recurring segment time, and I've got one for you.
Oh, thank God.
And it's an instant regret.
An instant regret? Roll the theme.
Instant regret. I just said something stupid to one of my kids. Instant regret. I wish I could take it back, but I can't. Instant regret. Stupid. Instant regret.
Hit me.
Here we go. So my younger daughter, 9 years old almost in just a couple of months, really into, both my girls really into music. But my younger daughter just surprises us with the stuff that she likes. And maybe like a month ago, I was in the car. We were driving in the car, and I put on the song "Turn Down for What." You know that song?
Yeah, yes, I do.
And the moment it came on, to my knowledge, she'd never heard it before. The moment it came on, she was, "What is this?" Mm-hmm. And I was like, "This is Turned Down for What?" And, you know, for that whole 2.5 minutes, she was just like in a trance. She loved it. Wow. And like, you know, fair play, right? That song slaps, if I may use that term.
You may.
Like anytime, even as a 42-year-old, I hear it at a wedding or something, I'm like, yes, you know, it brings the energy. And so now she wants to hear it every day. She loves it. It's the song that, like, when she's having trouble getting out of bed in the morning, getting ready for school, we put it on and she like pops out of bed and she's thrashing around and then is getting her clothes on and brushing her teeth. So it's a good motivational tool.
Amazing.
Bedtime a couple nights ago, you know, I'm laying down with her. We're going to read. And she's like, "Hey, Daddy, is there a music video for Turned Down for What?"
Uh-oh.
And I was like, "I don't know. Let's find out." And there is, it turns out, a music video for Turned Down for What? Uh-huh. And I'm like, how bad could this be? So I start playing the music video, and she's watching it right next to me. You know, it starts out, you know, the song kind of builds to this big drop, and pretty quickly, the main character of this story in the music video is like thrashing around. He's like suddenly in a house party, thrashing around, like bumping into things, starts humping things. But by like maybe halfway through the video, things start getting a little more sexual.
Okay.
but weird sexual.
Oh.
Like there's an older woman with enormous breasts,
okay,
that start moving independently of the rest of her body, like they have a mind of their own. So they're like growing bigger and like moving around on their own. And people at this house party are all looking. And meanwhile, our main character's still just like thrashing around, bumping into people. And then shortly after that, our main character's undercarriage starts moving within, like in his pants, starts dancing around.
Oh my God, dude.
And my daughter's looking at me like, oh my God. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God. We're halfway through this music video. And I'm like, should I turn it off? It can't get worse than this. She's already seen this, right? Uh-huh. And so I commit, and I'm like, you know what? I'll have a conversation about this after, but like, it's, you know, it's only another minute and a half, and it can't really get worse, I don't think. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it really did get worse, but like there was plenty more of both of those things, genitals freely, you know, moving independently of the rest of the body. Mm-hmm. And in the end, like, I don't think it will have traumatized her, but it definitely was an instant regret.
So I want to know, well, I have two questions. One, it's not really a question, but what an interesting predicament halfway through, because if you turn it, if you stop it, if you turn it off, you're kind of signaling to her that it's not for her, which gives some of the things that she's seen some meaning that maybe she wouldn't have otherwise.
Exactly.
Right. So that's interesting, predicament. And I guess, commend you for sticking it out and committing, all the way through. And then I guess,
I'll tell you, I was watching much more closely, like very intently watching after that, so that I could react quickly if and when things came out of their clothing, or anything different or took place. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I was thinking about when I was like, if I just turn this off, she's going to find a way to watch the rest of it because I turned it off and it's now forbidden. Yep. She's already seen what is probably the most damaging stuff. And really it's not violent, it's weird, but it's more like comedy, art, sexual than pornography sexual. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Yeah. I mean, and your point is she lacks a lot of the context that's needed to understand that it's a sexual thing, probably. Exactly. So, my question is did she ask questions at all after, or has it come up at all?
No, I mean, it's come up maybe once or twice, just giggling about the boobies or whatever, whatever she would refer to them as, bouncing around.
Boobies or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That is funny.
The nicknames that kids give the things that they think they shouldn't be talking about or embarrassed to talk about. But no, it's been in good fun and it's come with giggles. So
that's great, man.
But at the same time, we're also the parents that are always let's use the real names for these parts. There's nothing funny about private parts. It's just body parts. So let's call them what they're called. And if you have questions about them,
there's nothing funny about them until they start independently dancing.
Exactly. Until they start bouncing around on their own, squirming around in pants. Ugh, gross.
That's great, dude. Well, there you go. That's a good one, man. That's a good
Instant regret. All right, let's close out this episode.
Let's see. You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts, be it Apple Podcasts or Overcast or Turned Down for What Pod, any of the normal places. We're on
Little John Cast.
Little John Cast. Lil Cast. You can find us on all the social medias like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. And you can find all of our episodes at moderndadhood.com. There's a wonderful backlog of episodes there and some silly videos of us doing some silly things. There's also a little shop. There's a little shop, and it's getting close to the holidays. So why don't you swing by the shop? No pressure, but there's really nice sweatshirts, very comfortable sweatshirts there, and tees, and everything gets shipped with a free sticker. Am I right, Adam?
You're correct. Buy yourself or somebody you love a t-shirt or Modern Dad hoodie, and we will get it shipped out in time for the holiday.
We will literally package it ourselves and send it.
Place that order before, I'm going to say before December 18th, and I personally will ship it to you.
Wow.
In time for the holidays.
That's an incredible deal, folks. Let's see. While you're on the website, you can also reach out to us by using the form there, or you can send us an email at hey@moderndadhood.com. We're always we love hearing from folks, and if you got an idea for let's say a topic, or maybe somebody and you think they should be on the show, let us know about it.
Maybe Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Or Barack Obama. Or Dwayne, air quotes, The Rock Johnson.
Or John, air quotes, The Rock Cena.
I don't know about the rock part to that one, but sure, yeah, him too.
Let us know if you got a good guest idea or a topic idea you'd like for us to cover, and we'll consider it.
You know what else I want to ask our listeners? We're asking a lot of them. I would love for you to tell a friend about the show.
You could even text this episode to a friend.
True. You barely have to say much of anything. Check this out.
And if you're interested in helping us grow the podcast, you could also leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen. Doesn't have to be a long one.
We may even read that review on an upcoming episode in our wonderful segment, Kisses and Disses.
Thank you to Casper Baby Pants and to Spencer Albee for the music in Modern Dadhood. Thank you to Matt Tavares for taking time out of his very busy book tour schedule to chat with us about writing and illustrating and the holidays. And Mark Checkett, as you always do, please take the last thank you and address our listeners directly.
Thank you for listening.
Podcast. Just a modern.